And we are live. That is our new intro. I know AJ Herschel likes it. Throwback to when it was just me and AJ Herschel. Actually, I have some, for the diehards, I have some old tape I brought up where I just filmed, like, I don't know, like, I didn't film your face because you weren't comfortable being on. So for, like, episode 3 or something. And that is the original song we had for the intro. What do you think, guys? Jared, you've never heard that before?
No, that's completely new to me. Yeah,
you said it was a bit of an assault on you.
Yeah, I felt like all of my senses got assaulted in a good way. Like all of a sudden, I just got like teleported onto the middle of the field in an NFL game. Got ran over by a 260-pound linebacker. We might have to like dial the volume down a hair on it.
Kind of loud, huh?
But other than that, no, it's great.
It's beautiful. Right. It's like getting thrown into a football version of the quantum realm. It's incredible. I love it so much.
It did, yeah. That is sort of quantum realm vibes there, yeah.
Well, I was trying to do a little quantum sounds for the hackers aspect of our Roto Hackers. Yeah. So, guys, how is everybody? My name is Judah Buddha. We are the Roto Hacker Podcast. We are here to give you some sweet fantasy football goodness. I'm here with AJ Herschel, the kid, and it's Jared. And we are, I already said who we are. So, how is everybody doing today? Have you guys done any drafts? Where are you guys at in the fantasy football spectrum of life?
I've lost count of the number of best ball teams I have. I've just stopped counting.
Wow!
But a lot of them, they're like $1 team, $5 team, $10, and so I mean, it's very easy, and you don't have to manage those. So I'm not worrying about the number of them. I'm still at like 8. Roto teams, and most of those though are like $20 teams, and I'll manage them during the season, but I'm not gonna like pour the time into them that I will like a $250 team or something like that. So I haven't drafted any of those in a while, and won't probably till August now. So
you won't draft what kind of team?
Any other like season management leagues, like no auction leagues or anything that's not best ball. I'm not going to draft any more of those till August, till like closer to the season.
Okay, interesting.
Yahoo's auction drafts are all, the next auction drafts don't come till like the middle of July anyway for some
I've got a draft. I guess it's not auction. That's right. Because I've got a snake draft Thursday night.
You should stream it if you can.
Yeah.
All right. I hate streaming because it's so like distracting.
Not in a snake draft. Oh, you've got plenty of time between your picks, and by now, if you don't know who you're taking, roughly.
I don't know. So, all right. Well, let's do a little news.
News in the NFL today.
So, any news? Do you guys know of any news? So far, NFL announces the 2021 Pro Bowl will be in Las Vegas.
Boo! It should be in Hawaii still.
And then this is an interesting tidbit of news. So, Nyheim Hines is going to benefit big time from playing with Phillip Rivers. There's no question about that. That's what Sirianni says. I don't know who Sirianni is.
He's their offensive coordinator. He was with Frank Reich in San Diego, so he was with Phillip Rivers too. But in San Diego, he was, I believe, wide receivers coach, and now he's offensive coordinator there.
Interesting.
So yeah.
Well, that's why I picked up Nyheim Hines almost all my leagues. I think actually now I have him in all my leagues. But the reason is correct. I mean, you should know, AJ Herschel. It's reminiscent of my little woodchuck.
Yes, it is.
Woodhead. He's basically taking the place of Woodhead and the
Darren Sproles.
No, who's the one? Who's there now?
James White.
Who's White?
No, in his old, who was there? Who was the scat back with Melvin Gordon? He's the
Austin
Eckler.
Eckler, yeah. Reminiscent of these smaller pass catching running backs. I think Nyheim Hines fits in sweetly into that role, and Rivers loves to little dump off to his scat backs. What say you guys?
It can work out. Jared, you're the Colts fan. You go first. You've got the experience on this.
The number of options and weapons in that offense kind of worries me for any one player, because you've got T.Y. Hilton, who can have big games, but then they drafted, Michael Pittman. I think Michael Pittman could have he's going so late in drafts or so cheap in auctions. I think he could give you huge return on investment. Then you've got Paris Campbell, who was a rookie last year. They thought he was going to do well as a rookie. He was hurt a lot, so he's now there. They've got umpteen tight ends. They've got Jack Doyle. They signed Trey Burton. They've got Mo Alley Cox, and then at running back, Mack had a good season last year. Thought he was going to be my Chris Carson this year prior to the NFL draft. He was a guy that was going to be going early 5th round. I think he would have probably moved up some, but then they drafted Jonathan Taylor, and then you've got Hines. There's just so many. To me, the only one that I really have a problem with where people are drafting him is, I think, just for the fact that Marlon Mack is, I think, still going to be used a lot, and Hines is still going to be used a lot. Jonathan Taylor just seems like he's going way too early and as a 4th round pick.
I'm with you on that one. Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't even know how realistic that actually is, too. 4th round at this point in time, too. I want to know how many people actually take him there, because I know that's Yahoo's X rank or whatever.
Oh, but no,
every
draft.
Take him.
Still.
Every draft. I've done a lot of drafts, and every draft he might. I'm trying to think if I don't think he slipped to the 5th in any snake drafts.
If anything, he's getting, from what I've seen, he's getting more popular, and I'm thinking, why?
So.
I've gotten more hot on Swift, but Taylor, I think Mack is a more than serviceable 3-down back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
What do you think, AJ? Go ahead.
I'll just finish up by saying, I believe them when they say, I think people are thinking that he's just going to push Marlon Mack aside, and I don't think that's going to happen with the Colts. I think the Colts want to use multiple running backs. They're a team, team first organization. They like to get other guys involved, and I just don't think if Jonathan Taylor, if Mack wasn't there and they didn't have a good receiving back, I would probably take Taylor as top 5, as a maybe number 5 overall pick. But I think they're gonna spread it out with those guys.
See, for me, in terms of the Colts running backs, it's weird because I feel like Taylor's going to be the eventual number 1, obviously. But Mack is like a two-edged sword. On the one side, he's an efficient, good running back. He's obviously no Saquon Barkley, but he's very good, and the Colts use him well. But he's also injury prone. He'll get injured have a foot injury every 2 weeks or whatever. And so Taylor could get a bigger role. And to the talk of Nyheim Hines getting a bigger role, yes, Rivers does like to dump it off a lot, which helps the stocks. But Jared, it like you said about all the Colts weapons, it also bleeds to me Baltimore Ravens-esque with all the running backs they have. It also reminds me of the Chiefs and all the weapons they have. It's like, look, after you've got your number one, you don't know what's going to happen. And the Colts fit right into that little niche for me. I think Hines could be big. And I mean, 15th, he's going like what, 170, I think I checked last.
No, you can get him off the waiver wire.
Exactly. It's like 15th round pick if you want to grab him or something. I think that's worth it. But at the same time, he still worries me.
To me, the tough part is, I don't know. I mean, I know he'll get, a lot of third down work regardless of the game script, but I think the Colts are going to have a good defense. I think with Rivers, they're going to be able to score more points, and I think they're going to be playing ahead a lot. And I just don't know that, he's going to get the same kind of dump off volume that somebody like James White or some of those others will. So I don't know. I mean, I think in a deeper league, he's valuable, but in like a 10-team league, regular, 10-team, 15 roster spot league, I think it'd be hard for me to justify rostering him.
Yeah, well, I think it's as somebody who, at this point, especially in we talked about this on Saturday, somebody who goes, I like to carefully pick in the beginning, and I've been getting some of my favorite wide receivers rather than running backs. I am looking for take some flyers on some running backs, and he's come up. Another thing that is in the news is Shawn Jeffery is still without a timetable for return.
Well, that's nothing new.
I mean, this man with his
as a Bears fan, I take full responsibility for his injuries. That was all us just throwing it with Jake Elliott at 30 yards down the field. So Alshon, sorry.
It was you in particular.
Yeah, probably. I never should have made him my Gmail screensaver. That's what killed it.
I've been looking at him at the end of drafts as somebody who's like, but to me, the draft stock for Rager goes way up. What do you guys think? Without Shawn Jeffery, with maybe even Goddard, more Goddard
to some degree. See, here's the thing. I think Carson Wentz as a quarterback by himself is decently underrated because if we remember last year, the Eagles couldn't catch a thing, and he was still one of the most efficient quarterbacks last year. In fact, his statistics are better than Aaron Rodgers over the last 3 years in terms of efficiency, passer rating, etc. So he's a good passer. I just don't know how it's going to work out in Philadelphia per se. I think it helps him, but keep in mind they also have Deshaun Jackson there too. And if Alshon ever does get healthy, he's going to be taken away from that. Deshaun's going to be taken away from that. And while I think Rieger could be really good and could be a number one wide receiver, Philadelphia, they spread the ball around too much for me. Alshon's never really been a true number one in Philly. At times, he's shown flares that he could be, but he never really was. Aguilar never was. And then in terms of goal line targets, Zach Ertz gets all of those. So Rieger's someone I might take a chance on later in a draft and maybe someone to watch for me, but he scares me at the same time because Philly, to me, spreads the ball around so much. But I think he does have a really good chance. I think probably the second best chance of a breakout rookie wide receiver this year after Justin Jefferson, probably, to me. And then also Jerry Jeudy. But still.
Who would you rather have, Michael Pittman or Rager?
Pittman. I'd rather have Pittman. I think he's a better, well-rounded wide receiver, too. I think he slipped to Indianapolis, and they took him.
Yeah, and there's no one else. Like, I think he's more polished, for one. Mm-hmm. And there's no one else in that Colts offense that can do exactly what he can do. I mean, they've got T.Y. Hilton, who's tiny. They've got Paris Campbell, who's – I mean, he's like 6 feet tall, but he's not like a deep receiver. He's a slot receiver. And so Pittman's really –
Is he big?
Pittman's 6'4". Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Pittman's 6'4".
Idea.
Yeah, he's a big guy. And so, Phillip Rivers likes just chuck it down the field to big targets. They've already said that Pittman's going to start outside in that X slot, so he doesn't have to fight for a job. You know he's going to have that. So Pittman is very well set up. I mean, I think like in terms of like rookie receivers with the best fantasy situations, like him, Justin Jefferson is in a good spot.
Where did Justin Jefferson wind up?
Minnesota. And then the other one I think is Jerry Jeudy, because even though Denver does have Cortland Sutton as the number one, like I think that's fine. I think Jeudy can, be number two, and like he's been working with Drew Lock this summer, throwing the ball to him. So I mean, Drew Lock's just going into his first full season as a starter. Yeah. I mean, even if Jeudy is technically the number two guy, he might, that rapport with him. He might be more of the true number one. So, those three guys for me, Jeudy, Jefferson, and Pittman are the best rookie fantasy receiver in the best situations.
I like Pittman the best, though. I really do. I love Pittman.
That Colts offense is going to move the ball.
It sure. I think it's going to do better than most. Ryan N says, "Hey guys,
welcome back.
Good to see you." What a faithful. Don't we owe Ryan a T-shirt or something?
His address is in the RotoHackers email.
Okay, gotta get that guy a T-shirt. Did he tell us which one he wants or anything?
Yep.
Okay.
I also saw where I wonder if I think this was today. It was either yesterday or today that the Bucs put out photos of Tom Brady in his Bucs jersey. So I wonder if that was like, if that made it a little more real for Ryan, if that was an exciting moment.
Oh, Ryan. Yeah, was that exciting for you, buddy?
He looks good. I'm not going to lie. He looks really good.
I mean, he looked great. I mean, he's going to look great when he's really
He doesn't look weird in it the way that Brett Favre just looked like he was in an alternate reality in a Vikings jersey.
That's true. I think it's because the Patriots jerseys they're so like nondescript. Well, it's not that they're nondescript, but they're complicated. Whereas like you could see a Packers jersey from like miles away. Like that's a Packers jersey.
Yeah.
It's like, is that a
Patriots jersey or is it Liberty University?
It's kind of like a college looking, complicated.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah, Brett Favre going from that green and yellow / gold. I mean, it really is yellow. To purple, and all purple. Like that's a stark move right there. Tom Brady going from Patriots to Bucs. It's like
it's kind of the same colors too.
Yeah. He is in the Bucs uniform.
Yeah, so true. Well, the only other big news is that Ezekiel Elliott has the COVID. He's asymptomatic, so does anybody care? I don't.
What is it? It's June. I'm losing track of the dates. I almost said it was May, but it's June. We still got 2 months until football. The guy's going to be fine. He's going to be fine.
What? Ryan thinks it's pretty dope that he has COVID? No.
The jersey.
He's talking about the jersey. Yeah, it is pretty dope.
Look nice.
Well, you mentioned Jeudy. So I got a little thing called...
Hot takes! That's way too hot.
And my hot take.
I can't get over those. Ryan, if you didn't see our intro, go back to the beginning, watch the intro, and then get back here. It's awesome.
But turn the sound down a little bit.
Is it loud?
It's a little loud. Maybe I just have sensitive ears. I don't know.
No. Probably better. I'm going to turn it down. So my hot take, I think Locke is going to be a top 10 quarterback.
I'm pretty sure I said that in our rankings episode.
You said top
10. You can take top 10.
Okay. My hot take is I'm joining AJ Herschel as a, what's his first name? Josh Locke? Drew Locke. As a Drew Lock truther, I have been, for some reason, and it's probably just confirmation bias at this point, because I keep getting these, because I've been watching a lot of tape. YouTube will send me YouTubers looking at other players, and I've been getting a ton of Drew Lock video and just kind of following his career, looking at what made him do so well. I didn't realize how well he did. He had 5 starts last year, and he went like 4-1, and that one loss was a tough break to the in Arrowhead, I think. So it's tough to overcome. But man, if he doesn't do really well this year, I don't know, man. He's got the talent. He's got the pedigree, kind of. And he's definitely got the weapons. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
The only thing is there's a lot of young weapons, I mean, Sutton's in his, I think, 3rd year now. The other 2 receivers are rookies, Judy. I mean, granted, Judy's about as polished of a rookie receiver as you could get, but he's a rookie. KJ Hamler, yeah.
Hamilton, I think, right? Hamler?
It's just Hamler, yeah.
He's the 3rd. Noah Fant is a 2nd-year tight end. I mean, it's a very young team. So that would be my only concern. A young team, and I think they have kind of a tough schedule from what I saw.
Yeah, well, they're in the West, so, they're going to be playing some good defenses. Yeah. Especially if the Chargers, which I don't know what defense is going to look like this year, but Chargers could have a real, if everybody's healthy, and that's a big if because of the Chargers, that could be a dynamic defense.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-oh. Ryan M. says, haha, the intro is cool. Get rid of the haha because it's just plain cool. Just needs more bucks. Duh. All right, maybe I'll throw a buck in there. A little deer. But anyways, that's all I got. So do you guys have any hot takes coming into, as we're kind of coming to some what would normally be some some mandatory OTAs, but what we're not going to have anything for a while. What are some rumblings? What are some feelings you guys are getting about players? You got any hot takes?
Well, I've said a bunch of times that the 3 teams that I'm really, really high on this year are Denver, Tampa, and Arizona. All 3 of them, I've said a ton of times. I'm high on Kyler Murray. I'm high on Denver as a team for fantasy points. Reality check, they're in a tough division and the Chiefs exist, but whatever. And I'm high on all of them. So, I mean, I've been pretty open about that. I think possibly one of my hot take, if I had a hot take, quote unquote, if I had to come up with one on the spot, I could say something like maybe I could see Big Ben being top 10 this year, having a bounce back season. I think it would be hard because the Browns defense is really, really good. The Ravens defense is really, really good. He's got less weapons than he's ever had. Ever. I cannot stress that enough.
What do you mean?
Oh, yeah. He's got Juju. Great. He's got James Conner. Gets injured every 3 weeks. And then after that, I mean, Deontay Johnson's not bad. Jalen Samuels isn't bad.
Washington.
He's not bad. They're all, perfectly fine wide receivers. There's nothing wrong with them at all. They're fine. But, I mean, that's about it. But in Big Ben's career, keep in mind, this is the guy who's had Hines Ward, Santonio Holmes, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, his entire career. He's had stars placed around him as well. And, of course, at times, arguably one of the best offensive lines in football over and over again. So this is going to be a harder year with a weaker team and a better AFC North than he's probably ever had to face, too. The defenses are much tougher, with the exception of Cincinnati. True. And that's going to be the hardest part. Maybe something clicks in him. He grew a beard out. Maybe fear the beard comes out. I could see him being top 10, but like I've said, Bucks, Cards, and Broncos. Those are the teams I'm high on. But I could see Big Ben having a big bounce back year.
A guy that I like taking late in best ball drafts. I don't know how much I would want to do it in a standard draft, but in a best ball draft where you can take 3 quarterbacks, I'm taking as my third quarterback Gardner Minshew because I think it could be kind of like that season where Blake Bortles was balling out because of garbage.
Yes.
Because the Jaguars defense is going to be so bad. I think they're going to get just blown out a lot. But, and Minshew's stat line may not look great for most of the game, but then at the end when he's just, chucking the ball to DJ Chark and Chenault and I've now forgotten some of their other receivers, but I think he could end up having a season kind of like that Bortles season where he's ended up getting a lot of garbage points.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like Chenault. Chenault could be somebody who their offense could be more of like a Bucks of last year. Where they're just chucking it like crazy, and the thing is he gives you a lot of ground yards.
Yeah, yeah. Well, theoretically, we don't know exactly how they'll use him, but he is kind of like some sort of hybrid or something,
Yeah.
It will be interesting to see how they use him, though, because I think we can all agree that Chark's undisputed number 1. But keep in mind, they still have D.D. Westbrook and Chris Conley there, too. So that's going to be a really interesting situation to see if anyone comes out as number 2. Because last year, it was tricky enough. Eventually, like, it would get down into 12-team leagues where it's like, do I play Conley or do I play Mecole Hardman at the end of the year? So I worry it might get even more complicated. It could be really great for one of them, or it could be a mess for everybody fantasy-wise.
Who would you rather take, you guys? Give me your first thought. Diggs or Chark?
Diggs.
Chark.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
but
I'd take
not
Diggs,
like
but it's hard. It's
not
hard.
a strong feeling at all about that. Yeah, not a strong feeling at all about that. Buffalo, part of it comes down to, again, the situation is Buffalo has a good defense. I think, they've got a guy who's the guy who was the number 1 last year, John Brown. Even though we all know that he's not a number 1, and he's like half as good as Calvin Ridley. You're just not paying attention. But Diggs is going into, a new situation. We've talked about wide receivers going into new teams. It's a defensive-minded team. They like to run the ball not only with their running backs, but with Josh Allen. Josh Allen's not the most accurate passer. So I think when you compare that with Chark, who worked with Minshew for most of last year, on a team that's going to be trailing all the time and having to throw the ball, and he's, I think clearly the number 1 wide receiver, I'd take Chark.
Okay, let me throw a third one in there. DJ Moore. Who would you take? Chark, Moore, or Diggs?
Moore. Best
Moore?
situation.
It's interesting. Chark is going ahead of them all.
No, not the leagues I've seen. Moore's going ahead.
In Fantasy Pros ADP, they have DJ Chark 49. So they have them both in the 5th round. DJ Chark is going, then David Montgomery, DJ Moore, Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson, Odell Beckham Jr., Darren Waller, AJ Green, and then Stephon Diggs. It's crazy.
Interesting.
Yeah, I had Moore on a couple of teams last year, and he went through a stretch where like 7 out of 8 games he had 100 yards. He was just crazy efficient, but he only had like 2 touchdowns. And so it was almost kind of like, that Julio Jones allergic to the end zone type thing. But, you also got to consider like he was playing with a trash can throwing him the ball at quarterback. So, to Teddy Bridgewater is going to be significantly better than that.
He?
No matter what he does, yes, he will.
Yeah.
He'll be better.
Yeah.
So I feel bad. I mean, look at Michael Thomas. I mean, obviously Michael Thomas is great. DJ Moore is not Michael Thomas. But, I mean, Bridgewater kept Thomas's numbers up. And so I think people, just fall in love with touchdowns. They overdraft people based on touchdowns. We've talked about regression. And, most of these guys like Alvin Kamara, 2 years ago, he had crazy touchdown numbers, and those were going to come back to earth. And then when they did last year, you didn't get the return on your investment. Aaron Jones is probably going to be in that boat this year. And then on the opposite side is, you have, receivers who will have crazy touchdown numbers, and that's going to come back. Or I think Moore had, I can't remember if it says 2 touchdowns or 4 touchdowns without looking at it, but those are going to go up, those are going to go up. And if he's able to, keep, a huge target share and, producing yards, I mean, I can't imagine it's gonna drop for him. I mean, they didn't. They lost Olsen at tight end. They have Curtis Samuel back as the number 2. They brought in Robbie Anderson as like a number 3 deep threat. But I think Moore's numbers are gonna keep getting better. I mean, I've got him. For me, Moore is the guy that you draft right after sort of that little stretch of like Kenny Golladay, Mike Evans, those guys. I would take Moore over Amari Cooper, any of those guys after that.
Okay, well, would you? So they've got him in the 5th round. Would you take him over Juju?
Yes, because I don't know what you're gonna like.
Wow.
I don't know what you're gonna get out of Juju. I mean, if Ben stays healthy, but Juju's a tougher one because
he's tough.
When he played with Ben, 2 years ago, and Antonio Brown was out, he was like producing, almost Antonio Brown like numbers. And then last year,
I drafted him in the 1st round in a 12-team draft. We all know what happened.
That hurts.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I guess I've got to like get over the mental block of like what Juju did to me last year in a couple of leagues. And one of them was I still won my 250 league. I only had that one 250 league, and I still won it. But he was on there, and the bitterness towards him for causing me stress in that league is pretty hard to get over. So
I know the feeling. Yeah. Well, would you draft Moore over Robert Woods?
Yes. Yeah, I like Woods. But Woods is like permanently allergic to touchdowns, and I think that's partly Jared Goff. But I like Woods as like a 5th round guy. But yeah, more for me is a like early 4th rounder.
What about you, AJ Herschel? Juju Smith-Schuster, Woods. Where would you DJ Moore?
See, my problem with Juju is more like Jared said, but it's more anger at myself and also Big Ben for getting injured and leaving us Mason Rudolph for the whole year. But
he did it on purpose or something?
I'm kidding. I'm just saying, like, it was frustrating last year having Juju on my team. But I'm worried about Big Ben because he gets hurt a lot. Like, I went back and looked at his injury history. He's a big dude, but for such a good offensive line, he takes a lot of hits sometimes. And, I mean, it's not like he's been around for a couple weeks either. This is a guy who's been in the NFL for 10-plus years. So probably DJ Moore. For the sake, and it worries me for Christian McCaffrey as well to see how much, because we all know Kamara suffered last year, and part of that was also having Bridgewater in for a couple games. Part of it was Kamara wasn't 100%, but I like DJ Moore a lot. I think he's in a good position. Their 2 and 3 are okay, but Robbie Anderson I have my own issues with. We all know that, but I like DJ Moore a lot, and Juju worries me. Just every time I get scared, and then I'm like, I don't know about it. So I think Moore, it's just a safer pick. It's a safer pick. Moore is a safer pick.
Let's test your guys' upward bound.
Uh-oh.
DJ Moore or Calvin Ridley, your golden boy.
That one's actually a little bit tougher in practice because you can get Ridley around later.
Yeah.
Generally, from what I've seen, so I haven't had to, really
get Ridley in 5th round, 6th round.
That's Ridley in my drafts has always gone 5th. I've never seen him go 4th.
Wow.
That one's tougher. That one's tougher because the value of Ridley in the 5th is better value, I think, than Moore in the 4th. But I like them both really well. That is a tough one.
AJ, would you do it? Pull the trigger?
Man, take Moore over Ridley. That's hard. I think the thing with that, I think I might still go Moore, but pretty much solely for the reason that Ridley is going to be playing with Hayden Hurst and Julio Jones. Meanwhile, Moore is the undisputed number 1. And then depending on what happens, if Ryan gets a scat back as well, that also worries me a little bit too. Moore, there's Christian McCaffrey, yeah, and that's a big thing. But Moore's the undisputed number 1 wide receiver. As far as tight end goes, there isn't much since Greg Olsen went to Seattle. So
Ian Thomas is the tight end now. So
yeah, thanks.
I'm not worried about the tight end. I'm worried about Samuels. I'm worried about. There's all kinds of.
Curtis Samuel.
But Curtis Samuel still only got like 5 catches, 3 catches, even with Kyle Allen there.
You've got Anderson there now too.
Robbie Anderson is a deep threat who at best is James Jones. If you guys remember that year where he would catch 1 pass a game for 80 yards and a touchdown.
No. Yeah, Robbie doesn't scare me as a threat to DJ Moore's targets.
He gets 1 game every 4 weeks where he gets 100 yards on 5 catches, and that's it.
I'll give you the comp for that is being scared of Ted Ginn pulling away from Michael Thomas.
No,
ouch.
It's not even close. I'll tell you, I am completely out on DJ Moore. I think he's going to be a huge bust this year.
Wow.
I think in general, I think the Panthers are just going to be dog poop, and it's going to be hard. I'm more and more out on McCaffrey. I'm just not going to touch anybody. And DJ Moore's going in a spot where I just have so many more people I'm interested in. I'm OBJ. So Ryan and says Galladay, Evans, OBJ, Robinson, Moore. See, OBJ is going in the 4th, 5th round. So I can't get more because I'm always getting OBJ or Juju. I'm way higher on Juju. Way higher than DJ. I can't get a touchdown to save my life more. AJ Brown. I'm rising on him. Cooper, he can go fly a kite. But so what do you guys think about his little flow chart here?
Jared, you want to comment on that first? I'm still
sure. I'm with Ryan here on this. I like it. There's maybe
so you like OBJ over Moore.
OBJ over Robinson is a tough one for me. There's a couple of spots. I like it in general. There's a couple where I would probably, swap a couple of guys. OBJ is a guy that I have a lot of question marks about. So, the upside, of course, we know what that is, but I would have a hard time taking him over Robinson. So I would probably flip them there. And then Thielen is another guy that burned me last year in a league because he messed up his hamstring and then stayed out all the time. He didn't get the volume that he got the year before. So I'm not sure if I would take him over A.J. Brown, although, Brown, he could almost have like an Amari Cooper type season because he was having some blow-up games last year, and then he was having games where he was having a target or two. So I suppose Thielen probably is the safer play. So, so I think for me, the switch that I would be most likely to make would be slide OBJ back a spot, maybe two. So
Bad move. Nicole Sawyer. Hey, Nicole Sawyer. She says, "What's up?"
What's up?
Hi, Nicole Sawyer. Thanks for tuning in. Man, it's good to have new people on, checking out our content. AJ Herschel, Galladay, Evans, OBJ, Robinson, Moore, Juju. On this flow chart, would you change anybody?
Galladay and Evans are fine. It's that clump of Odell, Robinson, Moore, because I feel like all of those have a little asterisk next to it, and Juju too. I'll throw that in. It's like everyone after that has a little asterisk. It's like Galladay, Evans, fine. Odell, asterisk, Baker gives him 7 targets a game. Allen Robinson, asterisk, will Trubisky or Foles be starting? DJ Moore, asterisk, will Teddy Bridgewater pan out? Juju Smith-Schuster, asterisk, is Big Ben
Come on, watch it.
All of these guys have asterisks, and it just keeps going. Like Thielen, asterisk, will Kirk Cousins throw the football? I could keep going. Anyway, all that to say, I like it. I think Odell's probably the only one I'm questionable on, but that's probably because I'd put DJ over both of them, because Odell worries me because he gets 7 targets a game, and Robinson is good, but he doesn't really explode all that often. He'll get a solid 10 points, so I like Allen Robinson a lot. But other than that, I'm pretty much – Odell's just a little one thing. Everyone's got an asterisk after that. But I like this list. Odell's just the one that makes me waver a little bit.
And the other thing so Judah, it doesn't scare you that, they also added Austin Hooper in Cleveland this year. I mean, they've got Kareem Hunt for a full season as a receiving back. Do you think OBJ is going to put up his Giants days numbers?
No, obviously not, or else I'd be picking him up first round. I mean, I'm talking about picking him up second to third round, and to deliver on that. Okay, we'll say third, fourth, because you don't have to get him in. I think he's second round worthy. So you don't have to get him in second round.
What do you see as a season for him, stats wise?
Yeah, I think he's going to get 1,000 yards and probably about 10 touchdowns. I think that's his floor. I'm not drafting him for his floor, though. I'm drafting him for his. He's going to look like OBJ of old. Not the whole season, I'll grant you that. But there are going to be some games you're just going to be so glad you have him.
Okay, that's interesting. I can see the whole 1,000-yard receiver part, but the touchdowns, that's where I get a little concerned.
He had 10 touchdowns last year.
He had 4. I just Googled it.
He did not have 10.
See, here's the thing with Beckham's stats. It's that he'll get 1,000 yards. In terms of 1,000 yards, yeah, I agree with that. But once you get to touchdowns, like who else is there? Jarvis Landry, Nick Chubb could run it in. We don't know what Austin Hooper's going to do. And then maybe the biggest question mark out of all of that is Kareem Hunt. How big of a deal is he going to be? So Odell, 1,000 yards, I'm with you on that, but it's the 10 touchdowns that worries me. Baker's going to have to throw to him a lot more, especially in the red zone, for that to happen.
Yeah.
No, I disagree completely. Odell's his bread and butter comes from running it in from much further than the red zone. This is the kind of guy that's going to take it to the house every chance he gets. Maybe, like 40, 50 yards out. Come on. Let's talk about OBJ here. We're not talking about Skid McGee from down the street. Nicole
here's
Sawyer. Wait. Time out. Put real quick.
Yeah,
Nicole Sawyer says Newton, Lamar Jackson, or Tom Brady.
For
Lamar
fantasy
Jackson?
or just in reality? Because Cam Newton's not on a team.
Is he not yet? No.
No,
Lamar
still not
Jackson is so much further than every other, except for maybe Mahomes, that it's always going to be Lamar Jackson for my answer. What do you guys think?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
Overall athlete, when he's healthy, Newton's the best because he's a better thrower than Jackson. He's more accurate than Jackson, and his running ability is nowhere near as good. But he's not healthy. He gets banged up all the time. He had one great MVP season. That was about it. Lamar Jackson is an excellent runner who's getting better at throwing the football, but he's not the complete package yet. And Tom Brady is probably one of the best field managers. He's a good all-around quarterback and a great leader, but he can't run. So if I had to take one to build a team around right now, I take Lamar and just teach him how to throw more accurate football. If I'm trying to win a Super Bowl now, I take Tom Brady and get his leadership. But other than that, and Cam, he's good, but he's a handful. He's got great talent, but he's a handful and he gets injured. That's what I say. Jared, what about you?
I agree. Yeah. Cam, I don't know what future he has. Lamar is the future of the NFL if he can just stay healthy as a running quarterback and not become Cam the way he, took a beating. Like you said, Brady, if there was just, I don't know, to win a Super Bowl this year, it's still tough. Lamar proved that he could get the Titans, they lost to the Titans. He could get the Ravens pretty close. So I don't know if I could take still Tom over Lamar Jackson. I might just have to roll with Lamar Jackson all the way around.
Nicole, he can throw the football very well. In fact, he's getting way better.
I don't know very well. I don't know if very well is the way to put it. Let me look up his stats real quick while you're talking.
He became a very accurate thrower last year. But back to the Odell thing. You were about to say, I cut you off, Jared. What were you gonna? I felt like there was some wisdom coming down.
Isn't there always? Yeah. I do remember now. Okay, so I was looking back at something. Here's something to kind of be aware of with Odell's monster seasons that he had. So in 2015 and 2016, his second and third years in the league, fourth year he tore his ACL, didn't play a full season, and then 2018 with the Giants was fairly well. It was an abbreviated season, so we didn't get a full picture of that. But still, the same principle applies. He has basically done what he's done off of massive target numbers, just unsustainable target numbers, where he was pretty much the only game in town. So second year, he had 96 receptions, 1,450 yards, and 13 touchdowns on 158 targets, nearly 160 targets. Same thing, 2016. He had 101 receptions, 1,367 yards, and 10 touchdowns on 169 targets, nearly 170 targets. If you look at his numbers, basically projected over 75% of that, which is what he got in Cleveland last year, they don't look as good. Even if you boost the touchdowns up and boost the yardage a little bit from what he got, last year he dropped down to 133 targets and he had 74 receptions. Well, the previous year in New York, it was kind of the same thing. He had 124 targets, 77 receptions. So he's not, a guy, he needs a lot of targets in order to get his Look at him. What do you mean you're shaking your head? Look at him.
He needs a lot of targets to be like superstar amazeballs like he was in his first 2 years.
Yeah.
But he does so much with the targets he gets. If you look at that last season with New York, he had so many yards on what you like exactly how you said it. It was like less targets, like 120, something like that.
But
27.
124 targets is still a massive amount of targets to only have 1,052 yards. I mean, you're just flirting. I mean, I just don't know that they can.
That was last year. He had more yards than that.
No. In his last year with the Giants, that's what it was.
How many yards did he have?
It was. So here's the thing. He only played 12 games, but in those 12 games, he still had 124 targets. So he was getting 10 targets a game. So if you project that out over 16 games, I mean, that's 160 plus targets. But 124 targets is what a lot of guys, get for the season. 160 are just kind of those elite guys who don't have a lot of competition on their teams. Someone like a DeAndre Hopkins or a Michael Thomas. So he needs a lot of targets in order to get those numbers. And I just don't think in Cleveland with Chubb, with Kareem Hunt, with Austin Hooper, with Jarvis Landry, I don't think he's gonna get the kind of volume needed to produce what he has in years past.
Targets is like one of the least predictable stats we have. I mean, that we have zero idea how many targets he's going to get next year.
Well, if we're pinning an exact number, sure, no. But in terms of spreading the ball around, we know how different quarterbacks like to throw it around.
No, absolutely not. Last year he was injured and he wasn't doing very good with his targets at all. At his first 3 games, he got how many targets did he get per game?
Per game, he got 3. Okay, first 3 weeks, 7, 6, 6. Then he hit 2, 2 after that.
Exactly.
And then after that, it goes back and forth between 6 to 4, as high as 8, and as low as 2.
Well, no, that's his receptions. Targets were still high. So like first 2 games, he had 11 targets, then 10 targets. But he had two games of 100 yards or more. He had that week 2 against the Jets where he had that long touchdown.
He was injured.
He was
injured. I mean, it's widely known he was injured. And everybody knew he was injured. Everybody knew he wasn't Odell. And he was still getting 11 targets a game. I think you're wildly underestimating the coaches' dependence on him for next year. And I don't think the targets are going anywhere. He's going to have 10, 11 targets a game next year. That's not changing. You think they're going to pass to the running backs? What do you think? Like, who's new?
Yeah, I think Kareem Hunt will. I mean, Kareem Hunt will be there for a full season, and you've got Austin Hooper, who they added at tight end. So, that's not going to make a big difference. I think the guys that have gotten generally that kind of target volume are, just guys who were, I mean, you get an outlier like
he got that last year.
No, he only had 133. Or I think
but in his first 3 games, he was getting 11 targets. Once he got injured and everybody knew he was injured, of course they're not going to throw to some injured guy, Like they knew he's still Odell, but he's mostly out there.
He's
50%.
Still November 10th, November 14th, 12 targets, 10 targets.
Okay, so he's still getting lots of targets.
Sure, but you can't have it both ways. I mean,
neither can you. I mean, either he's going to get the targets or not. What I'm saying is it doesn't matter what targets he gets. There's going to be plenty enough targets for Odell Beckham. What I rely on Odell for is not targets, isn't situation. I don't care who's around him. I'm looking at his skill. The man is skill-wise is above most wide receivers. Like skill-wise, he's in the top tier. And now that he's healthy, is going to be able to do plenty with whatever targets he gets. That's my take. Now, obviously, I could be way wildly wrong, and you could be exactly right. I just I see it differently.
Maybe so. I mean, part of the problem I think is that he's had trouble staying healthy. I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
So that's a concern. We'll see. I don't know. It's just I have a hard time taking him over some of those guys. But to go back to Ryan's list, I mean, I think a lot of those guys in the middle, like AJ said, have some question marks. I mean, Juju and OBJ especially. So
yeah, we'll see. I think this is looking at this list right now. I think it's kind of important.
I like it.
Yeah. Can I I know you got to go, AJ. You got to go right now.
I got like a minute. If I got something,
a minute, real quick.
something to do.
I want your take.
Yeah.
A big trade recently somebody made. I don't know who, but it could have been me. Galladay. Somebody got Galladay and Gurley for Saquon Barkley. Discuss.
Well,
did that person make a huge mistake?
I don't think it's a huge mistake, but Gurley's such a big question mark, and Saquon's just so consistent. It's like, I just worry about Gurley's knee. I know they say it's 100% healed, but I mean, Galladay's great.
I worry about
There's
Saquon's
so
ankles.
many wide receivers out there. This guy must have been hurting for receivers or something to give up Saquon.
No, I gave up Saquon. Or the guy we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
I made a similar trade. Well, not quite. Last year, my trade was David Johnson, who was basically going about 5th overall, and I got Aaron Jones, Mark Ingram, and Cooper Kupp. But David Johnson was not the kind of safe bet that Saquon is. Would I do that deal? No, I would need to get a third player in it if I was going to do it. For me, I think potentially you could end up with the better end of it. I mean, I think Galladay will have a good season. I think Gurley can be surprising. He's in a good offense. Saquon, the Giants have kind of a tough schedule to start the season. Saquon could get hurt again. But I think you could have gotten more for him.
I was surprised how fast he hit the button to do it. To me, Galladay's top 5 wide receiver this year. Gurley is going to be first round. He's going to return first round value. I just think there's nobody there to take any touches from him.
Interesting, because Ryan N's down on him. He's not touching him this year. Ryan N, at some point, he says he wants to hear Judah pick apart his rankings.
We've done it before, but I'll do it again because my rankings have changed. Saturday,
you pick apart his rankings.
Oh,
you pick apart Ryan's rankings.
Okay, well, send them to us. At our email. Send us your rankings. We'll take a look.
Maybe that could be our main attraction on Saturday.
Yeah. Well, we're talking rankings. Jared and I talked about that. What else we were going to talk about? There was something else
for Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you guys wanted to do a mock draft.
Auction mock draft. Yeah, we do got to do one of those at some point.
Probably should have done that tonight.
Yeah, it would have gone way late.
No. In fact, I got to get going. It's late.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, we can see about doing it for Sunday. The tough thing with auctions are just if you don't have a full. It takes a long time, but even worse than that is if you don't have 10 people. And this time of year, they're probably not really filling up that much. Then if you get a bot in there, then the bot just bids everything up.
How about if all 5 viewers that are watching now, if you show up next Saturday and say we want
next Saturday or this Saturday,
the one coming up.
All right, this Saturday.
So that'll be 5 plus us 3. We'll have at least 8 people. I say that's worth doing. But if we can't get 8 people in there, it's just really weird with bots.
Yeah. If you got that many, you could at least like throw out a bunch of crap players first and get the bots to bid up to get rid of them. But I don't know. We'll see.
I definitely throw up DJ Moore. Yeah.
If not, maybe we can just do another snake draft or something.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Ryan's in. Ryan in. Ryan's in. Ryan
Ooh.
in. I can't come up with something to make that super smooth. Ryan's
well, it's
in.
getting late. All right, Ryan. Well, we'll see you Saturday morning at. Oh, we got a bunch of comments. What the heck's going on
From
here?
Nicole Sawyer.
Nicole, what about? Ezekiel Elliott. I think he's top 3. No
Great
problem.
yardage, but doesn't get into the end zone enough. But he is a tank in terms of yards. He's incredible.
If you mean in terms of COVID, he'll be fine.
Oh, yeah. No, I think she was comparing him. I think she said something about
Gurley.
Yeah, Gurley.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Ezekiel is more reliable than Gurley 100%.
Yeah, he is.
I think at the end of the year, though, people are going to be looking at Gurley and be like, guys, he should have been in the top. He should have been the first round.
I think he's a good value at like now he's going in like usually like late 3rd or 4th. I think he's very much worth the flyer at well, it's not really a flyer there, but he's very much worth drafting at that spot.
Can I tell you, I'm not worried about his leg at all, his knees. I am not worried. I went back and looked at the tape. Okay, you got to go.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to be fine. I want to go. You want to go. Jared, I can tell he was yawning from the beginning. You saw that intro came on.
Yeah.
And then he started yawning.
Yeah.
What's it called? Can I hit on this last thing to finish off for me?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I noticed this comment that while you guys were talking about Gurley and OBJ, they just kind of burned in the back of my mind for a while, and I Googled it. So Nicole Sawyer brought up Lamar Jackson doesn't throw the football anyway. And I know, Judah Buddha, you brought up that he threw the football a lot. And since she compared it to
said
Cam
he threw
up there,
it well.
Sorry, well, okay. All right. Well, so I compared it to his MVP season to Cam's MVP season just to see what the difference was. And Cam threw it about 100 more times than Lamar did. But the crazy thing to me is that Lamar, even though he threw it 100 times less at that point, Lamar this year was top 10 in completion percentage. He was top 3 in passer rating, and he had the most passing touchdowns. The guy who's known for rushing threw for 36 touchdowns. That's insane.
He didn't throw much, but when he did, it was extremely accurate.
Mm-hmm. There's a throw from the game where they were in Los Angeles against the Rams. He throws a touchdown pass that it looks like the ball is on a wire, spinning on a wire. And he talks about how I think he says he didn't know how to throw a spiral his rookie year, and he had to learn how to do it. And so, I mean, he could just be scary, scary good if he stays healthy.
I know. I love him. I'm drafting him everywhere. Okay.
Right,
Nicole says she is in on Saturday.
5.
All right, Nicole. You, Ryan, we got to go. I don't want to get AJ in trouble with the powers that be. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you, guys, for showing up once again.
Make sure you tell them what time we're on tomorrow. Or Saturday. All right. I know what day it is.
Saturday, my time schedule. All right, 11:30 Eastern time. Central time would be 10:30, and Western time is different. I don't know.
That would be 9:30 Mountain, 8:30 Pacific.
Okay, so
those aren't real time zones. Just kidding.
All right, everybody. Well, turn down your turn down your earphones because we're doing the intro again.
All right.
Oh.